Hello, everyone, and welcome to activation element 1 of the messaging source code. This is all about your soul style, and it reveals your energetic purpose and how you can attune to it so you resonate with your soul line and live out your purpose. So let's dive in because we've got a lot to cover. So, as I said, your soul style really reveals that energetic purpose and how you're going to attune to it so that you can resonate with your soul line and naturally grow your impact, influence, and income. It's pretty cool, actually, what is possible when you uncover and have an awareness of your soul style. And just to refresh your memory, as part of the whole messaging source code, we have activation element 1, this one that I'm running through today in the training, which is soul style. Then we will move to activation element 2, which is your soul role, and moving along then after that to your soul strengths, soul service, and soul solutions. So all of those 5 elements will help you activate your soul line. Those perfect people that you want to find you, follow you, engage with, and obviously also resonate with what you're sharing. And your message is such a big part of that, because really for all of us, that's what we want to express. We want to be able to express this desire for what's it to share, what's inside us, depending on our unique designs. So I want to be able to create these elements for you that give you a chance to do that while still honoring your true nature and your true self. Because the problem is that in a lot of messaging, people want to talk about what they do. And that's where most messaging and branding starts. What they do, that what they're selling, how many weeks something is, how many features are in a widget, whatever it might be. The what is sort of the baseline that most people start with when they're thinking about their messaging. Then we can sort of evolve up to that next layer of in which is how you do it. And then you can share a little more about the differentiation that you have to your competition and the differentiation that can connect more into your target audience if you're looking in a linear branding fashion. I like to call it the soul line, right? They're the people who are meant to find you. The people who are on your soul line. They will naturally resonate with you, so we don't have to force or convince. And when we can get seen and heard by those people, then our impact can be even higher. But I want to offer that in terms of uncovering your soul style, that first element of your messaging source code, it goes beyond the what and the how, and it talks to the why. The why is the X factor that's missing in most messaging. And that's really why human design is such an amazing mechanism to allow you to share that. And obviously, I didn't come up with the why concept, and I'm sure Simon Sinek, he did come up with this concept, putting it together. Other people have expressed it in different ways. And I remember seeing him speak in New York back in 2011, and it was pretty groundbreaking what he was sharing there. But a book and this sort of medallion thing that we got was great, and I definitely resonated with the presentation and this concept. But what I always struggled with many years was like, well, I'm not quite sure what my why is. I could write down these values and I could write down things that I'm good at, but how do I know that that's right? Like, always a lot of this, guessing ourselves about what would our why be? And we kind of test and we think, all right, that would share it with us. And even human design doesn't immediately share this with you. So that's what I'm trying to do within the soul style is uncover a way for you to see into that. Obviously, you've still got to feel into it, contemplate it, understand some of the elements that we're going to share within your soul style to know that you are on track and that it is right for you. Okay, never it's an invitation to follow and guide you to sharing your why. But what I would suggest is that even just activation element 1, the soul style, what we're going to cover in this video, will be enough to change the way you think about your marketing, to change the way you think about growing a profitable personal brand, or getting your business on purpose, finding perhaps opportunities to pivot or shift or feel a lot more up by your business, basically, and in alignment. We'll talk a little bit about how to do that too with your soul style. And your soul style is just a critical opportunity for you to lean into it, because it really shares the why of who you are, you're here to do, and how you're going to be fulfilling your potential in a beautiful with others. This isn't about doing things in a vacuum just for your own gratification or making money, right? The reason on level, or spiritual level, or just day-to-day feeling great about what you're doing, and level, why that happens is from value exchange. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. Okay, but one of the best ways to make more of it happen is to get in alignment with your truth and transmitting that truth via your message. Okay, it's just Simon Sinek's concept in Start With Why. So rather than just talk about the what and how of what you do, that's where most people sit. He invites you to transcend within to look at the why. Now, he still has more of a logical explanation than perhaps human design as to how that works. And he suggests that when you start sharing your why, you appeal to the emotions and the emotional connection of the consumers. So rather than them going to prefrontal cortex or the logical reasoning brain that we know makes great decisions and is more linear in its thinking, he's suggesting that when we go to the why, we create more connection that talks to more of the limbic brain system, which more about the feeling, and you're attracted to. It's less rational, but can be a lot more powerful. We see it in human nature all the time. It defies logic. Generally, humans will move, act, and in things that perhaps don't have a lot of logic to them. So he's suggesting that you will build a lot more loyalty, a lot more trust, and value clientele, and create more of a following, and create more awareness when you start with the why rather than starting with the what you do. Okay, so I just want to reference that, because as I was going through how to break down soul style, not only did I have the music, but I was also like, hang on, this actually sounds pretty much like what Simon Sinek was sharing, but this gives it more of an energetic tone. So rather than just saying, okay, about the limbic, to the limbic brain system, I'm suggesting that this is appealing to the soul line, which is more of that hidden connection of energy and that energetic success and strategy for your message that honors who you are. And the reason it flows is because it's what you are always meant to do. Okay, so it's slightly different, but I want to share something perhaps for more of you who think on more of that logical, that might with you too, because without you're missing the chance to transmit your truth. Because as Simon Sinek says, your clients don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Okay. And your soul style is why you do it. It is who you are. It can't really be separated at all. And this is what's going to get your clients, your soul line, the perfect people for you to respond, recognize, and reward you, especially when you align your messaging with your soul style. Okay. Let's revisit the messaging source code, 5 activation elements. And we're going at that very foundation with our soul style. And when you have all of those, you've got a way to transmit your inner truth, the truth of that you're always meant to share, because it comes from within. It is aligned to your purposeful place here on the planet, right? And the way that you are going to, that is by aligning more with your soul purpose, which is laid out within your human design, and in your soul style, we've got a lot of the energetic purpose there. So you'll see there the soul line are drawn into this source code, and through resonance and recognition, and then there's leads to more revenue at the end of the day. Because when you understand and embrace your soul style, you unlock that recognition. Your perfect people, or your soul line, see you and know you're for them. They respond, and you're able to them respond more often, because you've got your signals dialed in. The frequency is right to call in that soul line, and they will engage, invest, and refer. And that results not only in more satisfaction and success for you and peace of mind, right? Not only do you get more of that, but you also generate more rewards. Rewards of that, things, elements that I talked about, peace of mind and like you're just totally lit up, satisfying this purpose and creating great value in this beautiful value exchange. But you can also get paid really well and even more for being you. I've mentioned before, even those who don't necessarily with their human design or are aware of their human design or what impact it has, some of them may still be able to activate a lot of reward and revenue. But what I found in my experience is when there isn't that alignment, that it can, very difficult to sustain. It's either for the person with the message or the audience who, up after time that this isn't aligned. The person that they're with, it's not feeling aligned for them either. Okay. So that can definitely happen. But embracing your soul style allows you to inspire others through your energetic purpose without the need to convince, right? Force or unduly influence, right? Manipulate, any of that stuff that just goes out of the window. Okay. You can differentiate yourself from the competition. Exactly what Simon Sinek said about starting with why. You can feel lit up and confidently express yourself through your message in your business, okay? And at the end of the day, soul style will give you the clarity that shapes everything else you do from a branding, messaging perspective. Once you know your soul style, messaging, branding, and growth just gets a whole lot easier. So, like just mentioning, it's about emotions versus logic. Sure, there's some logical elements that go into marketing, conversion, and there are logical elements that are in this presentation, right? But what I'm inviting you to see is that emotions over time is what bonds us together, okay? That frequency, and it comes from more than decisions made from your mind, just as the whole human design system is supposed upon, that we're not here to make decisions from our mind, okay? We're here to our potential and our purpose, but that is, we'll uncover more about strategy and your authority, which I'll get to in a moment. But your soul style shows you how to drive trust and loyalty through an emotional response rather than a logical response. So it's not having more information, using someone else's information that works for them, or seeing that is hot now and maybe you should start sharing that or change your message because of any of that. Those kinds of things are going to draw you off track if they're not in alignment with your energetic purpose, okay? When we are looking at how we can align to our energetic purpose so that we can evoke more of an emotional connection, that will in turn drive up awareness, engagement, prices, value, and demand, okay? Lasting attention and action doesn't come from emotion. Logic can just be more transactional. That's why we see fads come and go, okay? It's about, there isn't a lasting bond there isn't that resonance, which is the key to business success and definitely the key to messaging success. Movements are made from belief. Yes, sure, that comes from the mind in some regard, but it is about the heart and mind connection, that together and not making decisions based on our mind, more on our hearts, okay? I put a picture of Mel Robbins there. Sure, she's not an overnight success, but it's pretty amazing the level that she's reached. It's not necessarily the information that she's sharing that's doing that, okay? Her message is more than what she says. And it's about the resonance that she has, the trust that she's built up by creating an emotional connection via what she shared. Her true self, I believe it must be at the level of success that she'd happen. And talking to some of the elements about, not necessarily for Mel Robbins, but just in general, how, ways of messaging may work better for other people than you and me, right? So, but human design gives us the guidepost to see how that could work for us, okay? Just refreshing your memory too on the messaging source code, where we've got these 5 activation elements, the human design elements that they from here, where you can see your type and authority, profile, nodes, channels, definition, etc. So what this Presentation is all about element one, soul style, how you succeed, right? It's the energy of your success. And it's all about really pushing into this response. So for many years in marketing, I like in digital marketing, because you are to people who don't know you. That's why it's more difficult. There is more nuance and artistry to it, because people don't know you. They don't have that trust factor. Okay. They don't have that connection to you. So you've got to fast track it. So yes, you can do that with some principles of marketing, right? And I'm going to weave in some of those that work within the whole of the training for your messaging source code, but suggesting that human design and your messaging source code and these activation elements will work better for you than any kind of direct response marketing funnel, which, yes, I could take your copy and pull together a funnel. This is what I've done with my clients for many years, and I could put up a funnel and it's going to work. But generally, the way I work is making sure that I'm synthesizing who they are. I never do that without understanding who they are and what they want to share, and then perhaps making it meet in the middle. But I don't ever want to get them out of alignment with who they are, because I know that funnel just is just not going to work. Okay. This is such an important element that you can actually utilize yourself, which is really cool. So let's look at just the soul style, the activation element one. We're going to look at 3 spheres that come together, and these are really the heart and soul of the human design system. And there's sphere 1, which is all about impact. Okay, it's that unspoken energy that people feel from who you are. Okay, and then we go to insight, sphere 2, that comes from the strategy in human design. This is what helps you overcome resistance and stay on track. And the third sphere is influence. Okay, and that comes from your authority in human design. This is your inbuilt decision making system that keeps you on track too, so that we got all of these elements working together within your soul style. And once you have an awareness and understanding, you bake this into what you're doing, like it will just become like breathing. Okay, that those things will make all of your messaging, marketing, and branding so much more effortless once we have them. And especially when you're using them to inform any kind of pivot of your business, creating new offers, maybe looking into new markets, all of those elements, which marketing to choose, all of those can be governed by these spheres. Okay, really your messaging, and I would argue your business and life operating system, the heart of it. Now, there is different within everybody's human design. That's what's so great about it. There's so many more layers. But even if you're new to design, you could just take one of these spheres and start making a big difference, right? Like, it will give you a lot of understanding. And I'm sure, we move through this will help you for sure, particularly as we go through all of the activation elements. There's always more to uncover, and it's this information and this understanding. Okay. Yeah, excited to share it with you, basically. Let's go to that first sphere, your impact, which really is all about your energetic purpose. This is the why of your personal brand, okay? Shaped by your human design type, kind of the foundational part of human design. Most people, if they've spent a moment with human design, that's where they'll first go to, your type. Okay, but there are 5 types, and I'm going to kind of use those to guide you through the soul style element. So uncovering what your type is initially, and I'll show you that will be in your guide that you can enter into your birth information in. The reason we ask for your birth information is because that exact moment in time is when your physical body was created. It also points back to more of your soul, and the other more unconscious part of who you are was created as well. So that points to this, your whole kind of blueprint for success, right? So that's why it can be such a strong guide. Type isn't everything. There is a lot of nuance, but with this, when we look to just soul style, when we create these elements here to follow, then you really can't go wrong with these, the 3 spheres that I'm going to share and give you. Okay. And I want you to go and have your guide and start thinking about, okay, how's this landing? Where does this fit in? What resonates with me? You'll be able to utilize those 3 spheres to uncover that for yourself. Now, if any of this is not feeling aligned or right, or something is just isn't clicking in terms of, yeah, that feels like me, there may be some other elements in your design that we can take a look at, or you might want to check that you have your correct birth time. See if it changes much on your birthday as well, because that can be an indication that maybe, or perhaps you put it in the birth data input form incorrectly. I even do that sometimes in other people's forms, because the dates in Australia, the way we write down the dates in a different way. So on my forms, I put them completely reversed. Otherwise, in for example, they'll put the month before the day when they're writing the date. So it'll be month, year, as I'm sure most of you know. In Australia, we go day, month, year. So sometimes if you've got singular numbers, you can get that mixed up. I've done that a few times in looking at people's charts as well and got, oh, hang on, this doesn't make sense. Oh, I get it. Okay. There's some of those elements, if some of this isn't landing, or that can be the case. So if we look at your energetic purpose for each of those types, you'll see there, and we'll talk about this too, but that manifester, it's to initiate and catalyze, build and sustain. A manifesting generator and a generator are essentially the same type in the human design system. One just is designed to a little bit faster, and they're more of a hybrid between the manifestor and the generator. They're not a separate type because they do follow, have the same and feeling. Okay, so a lot of that can happens, and the same strategy, which I talked about in terms of your insight. I'm going to go into this anyway, so I probably don't need to go through all of this, but that's just for you to have a look at to see, okay, I'm a projector, I'm here, purpose, really overall purpose is to guide and direct. If I'm a reflector, it's to reflect and amplify, okay? Where are you going to see this? Well, you're going to go to your download, and you'll see a few pages in, because you'll have your human design life chart, and you'll see the type, okay? And it'll say manifestor there. That's where you're going to find your type, and I'll show you where you'll find those other elements as well, but I'm going to also talk to them here. So you got type is your impact, that first sphere in your soul style. The second sphere is your insight or your strategy. So you see here, strategy here listed out. And then that third sphere is your influence or your authority, and that's listed here, okay? Just print that out and you'll have that, or if you're more familiar with human design, you probably already know that. Talk more about definition and those sorts of things further on in the activation elements. Still worth noting for now, just sort of you have some other factors that come into play, but there's lots of things within you in the human design system that do. So know that we'll cover that later. So I'm continuing with the music theme, and I kept thinking about the Beatles. So we're going to go into the impact and those types now. So your soul style impact, that first sphere. And about it, watching recently released a new Beatles, and it always seems like there's so many of the Beatles specials, there is to know. This one felt like a little bit more in terms of how they were the success that they were, and a bit of the nuance between all of the people, all of the members, like the Beatles or not. It's just like an exercise in understanding types in human design. And obviously not each of them has the types, but pretty much, and there's not 5 of them. So we definitely don't have that, but I can sort of get to demonstrate a little bit about the soul style, this impact especially, and seeing and relating it back to sort of that number one thing, like, was it about the Beatles that made them one of the best selling, most popular bands of all time? There are, once again, several factors, but one of them was the manifester. So if we go to this impact, and he's not the only reason, but there's lots of things that work together here. So Paul McCartney as the manifester, or what we like to think of the energetic purpose of it, an initiator, okay? He initiated this band. John Lennon was actually playing with another band. I think he was only 16, Paul, when I was watching this thing. I didn't even know this story, but he went to school with George Harrison, went down to this fair and wanted to get John Lennon to join the band. Then they wanted Ringo Starr to join the band. Later on, all of these elements, long story short. But one of the things there is that he was really initiating and making it happen. They also had a promoter or manager, Brian Epstein, who sadly died, who was a manifester as well. So there was a couple of like impacts there that really set them apart from bands of the day and set their music apart too. But that wasn't the only reason why they were so successful. Obviously, it was all the energetic purpose of all of those involved, right? And also, arguably, Paul McCartney may not have been able to sustain a career for as long as he has without the support of other elements and without the support of, once you have a name and you're known and having that sort of drive coming in, then he could sustain a longer career. Arguably, if he had just tried to succeed as a solo artist, it might not have been as easy as The Initiator. It was just the perfect way that he could catalyze this amazing group of humans at the right time. It all just kind of together, because I'm quite sure that they're all on each other's soul line to some regard. However, it didn't last the distance completely, but their music did. So anyway, as a manifestor, your role is to initiate, to be the spark. You're here to bring new ideas to life that others might not even dare to begin. You're here to disrupt old ways of doing things. Okay, you are here to do it differently, and you can just go and get started. You can just do it. You're the only type in human design who can do that. Okay, that's because you're here to get things started. You're here to ignite. You create the momentum, you start the movement. Okay, you drop the thing into the world that shifts everything. And then you let others sustain and build upon what you've started while you rest, recharge, and prepare for your next creative burst, because you don't have that sustainable energy. So you are here to catalyze and spark. And that's very much what McCartney did in driving the beginning of the Beatles. Your energetic purpose as a manifester is to initiate and catalyze movement. Your natural transmission is that you're bold, disrupting, and you're activating. Okay. And what you activate in your soul line, in those perfect people, that audience, what they hear from your message, and when you're aligned and you're attuned to not only this elements, but the others that we'll be sharing, but even if it's just from your soul style, it's a sense of permission and possibility, get into momentum and immediate action. And they have the feeling that change is going to happen now. It's very instantaneous, and it very much, like to say, it's like a lightning rod for possibility, or that next step to move people into the next step. As a manifestor, I feel that deeply. And your messaging works when you make bold declarations and you initiate without waiting for permission. This is very difficult for a manifestor, mainly to do with our energy and the impact it has on others. You're here to inform, not ask people what's happening. So these are very big things that will shape the overall of your message and how your message shared and expressed in line with your energetic purpose. Now, other elements are probably going to give us more examples. So I know there'll be some of you who go, yeah, exactly, how do I say it, right? These, can't skip over these elements that are going to shape and shape how you say it and how you express your energetic purpose. But you've got to know that purpose, that why first, right? Then shape the words that you're going to use. And you'll find that the more that you can attune and align with your soul style, the more of that's just is going to come from your inner truth, right? Me just dictating, this is what you say, right? And that's not happy to help you and share that, because I do that as a manifestor, right? I can often see those things. But I also want you to embrace that you have that knowing within as well, especially when you use this system and structure. So for a manifestor, it's about getting rid of the fear of being seen and let yourself shine. Now, still a work in progress for me. It's taken years. But two of my clients and friends, and clients in the past, but they're definitely friends of mine. Funnily enough, there were two that I met on the entrepreneurship journey who happened to be manifestors as well. And I don't have a ton of friends who are manifestors. I'm more of a rare type, but thinking about it, pulling their first book cover titles out, seeing, which knowing them, I know this is just about them, and also seeing their human design. But as a manifestor 6/2, she's got authority like me, so very much like go. She, this book, Lady Balls, you live your ultimate lifestyle and build a business you freaking love just by being you. Like, that's what it feels like to be a manifestor. Like, flavor of it too, but it's like, right, get your balls on, let's go, right? There's about doing things a bit differently and having a lot of that catalyzing energy. So this was the moment that really for Jodie, I saw so much of it. And actually recently I said to her, why did you put that brand away? It was so you. And it's the downside of a manifestor not staying in alignment with your design. And it didn't mean she wasn't doing the things she was good at. She still was, but this was the heart. If she had continued with this, I mean, already like was ridiculously successful. And in fact, I've done retreats with both of them together. We like before I knew human design, and it was so funny. Even Denise is like, "Is Jodie going to do? She's not following through on things, and overly conditioned to be a people pleaser." So of course, it's like, right, let's go and do all this. But both of them, it's kind of interesting in that I would see even life experiential way with clients, I would see how who really, just loving being informed in the online way, like would be on videos or courses and all of that, right? And they were so like, but then when they would feel that in person, sometimes that would sort of be a bit discombobulated, like them to be a certain way and then feeling maybe that, a bit more closed off. And it wasn't that they weren't authentically being who they were, but they were being authentically who they are as a manifestor, and it doesn't always go down well. And I remember this is how I know I'm so conditioned, because I'd be like, oh gosh, well, you have to keep everybody happy. So I'd be like running around going, oh, whatever you need, like the very big part of my wiring, right? And it's not that they don't care about their clients and their audience, they absolutely do. But it's interesting. Type isn't everything, but with this is real examples of seeing with Denise's first book, Lucky Bitch, like there, there's these kind of, it was of the era too, like from years ago or whatever, 10 to 15 years ago. But they're kind of to sort of a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons, right? That's very manifestor-esque, okay? Guide for exceptional women to create outrageous success, right? Like that. Being a manifestor is an exceptional energy, and it is an ignition kind of energy, and you can see that even here. So that's an example of aligning to the initiator and that why you're here. Okay. Then we look to generator. Okay, I put George Harrison here. He was a generator, and so anyway, I'll get to the next one in a moment. But I was going to put generator and manifesting generator together. They are the same. Are technically the same type, but there are just a couple of there's just one sort of nuance, so I have taken them out. But if we look here at the generator, they're really the archetype of a magnetic builder, right? Like your impact, you're magnetic. You have, like I was just talking about, the manifestor, it can have a bit of a closed and well, the aura in human design system is closed and repelling. So it's designed to kind of call in those who are ready to and create and they say in human design manifest, which really is about creation and making things happen through different channels and what have you. So the magnetic builder is really your impact here. You're here to build, create, and sustain through the work that lights you up. It's by being lit up that draws people to you. So their aura is attractive. People want to oh, they're drawn to it. Okay. You have to do what you can to cultivate that lit up feeling, that life force within you, because that's what brings the right opportunities, your soul line to you. Okay. So that you can feel fulfilled and sustained in building and drawing in the right kind of people to you, okay? Not here to initiate from scratch. You're here to respond to what's already in your environment and build from that response, okay? Not here to just say, right, I've had an idea, make decisions from your mind and go, no, nobody's here to make any decisions from their mind or live out a purpose fulfilled from their mind, okay? The mind has a role within human design, mainly for processing the past and information and creating concepts, and definitely go to my mind when I'm thinking about how can I synthesize human design into messaging, right? That's something that I'm using my mind for. Absolutely. But I'm like, okay, this makes sense. No. And it's sometimes if I'm feeling like I'm not being 100% in alignment, like maybe feeling like I haven't had the rest that I need, or forcing to push through to meet a deadline when I'm not honoring that a creative urge might need some more time, that then I have to say, okay, I have to go back to my authority, or go back to my mind and go, okay, this is making sense, and look at it from a way where I have more energy. Okay. We want to have more of our business in that. Sometimes it is unavoidable. You got to follow some rules or some deadlines or fulfill some promises in business, right? We want to have less of that than more, right? I know there was probably a time in my business before I knew human design where I had a lot of that pressure and be a manifesting generator, really, like, with ideas, but going like always on for everybody. I didn't recognize that was something that was going to actually my potential and in my ability to get my message out there. So a lot of those elements, when I'm not honoring them, actually compromise me being able to fulfill my purpose as a manifestor, to get my message out and ignite more people. So this is what happens in all of our types and our impact that we have. With a generator, it's saying yes to the things that you really want to say no to, and then having your ability to sustain that bad decision time and time again, right? So that's what we want to shift in understanding our soul style and leaning into our soul style and aligning and attuning with it. And it is a practice. It's not like snap your fingers and let's go, but just understanding some of these elements and frameworks will make a huge difference, because it's going to allow you to call in, at least even if you just change calling in the right kind of clients, or just getting more response than you're getting now, could make a huge difference to your excitement and enthusiasm for your business without changing anything else, right? You might not necessarily have to change your offer. It might just be changing your alignment with these three spheres, particularly the impact that happens without you even writing down anything, without you even saying, how many times am I going to post, without you going, what platform am I going to show up on? None of that matters if you don't understand your impact in the first place, okay? When you do understand, at least even have an awareness of it, then that is going to help you make those decisions, find those places recognized by your soul line, okay? Your life force energy is magnetic when you're doing what genuinely excites you. So that's where you get burnt out, or your message stops getting drowned out by your own denying or your overriding of your own inner truth, right? That's energy. That's what attracts the wrong kind of clients to us. That's also stops us naturally scaling and growing something that could be successful, because success, right? Like, it's actually the strategy for a projector, but it's obviously we all want to be in that soul deep success that comes from aligning with our energetic purpose. It comes from knowing our why and expressing it, right? So this gives you that runway for knowing your energetic purpose. Human design will still give you more elements of your purpose, right? But this gives you that energetic purpose that people can feel and allows you to express through your message so much more impact, and keeping it in the positive impact for you and your audience, okay? When you're fully lit up and satisfied, people are naturally drawn to your energy. Your marketing power comes from sharing your genuine excitement, expressing your lit up energy. So for the generator, your energetic purpose is to build and sustain through response, not initiation. Your natural transmission of energy is magnetic, it's satisfying, it's energizing, right? What you activate in your soul line is a sense of aliveness and possibility, sustainable energy and satisfaction, and the feeling of being lit up by your work. So not only do you have more of an attraction power to bring people towards you when you're in alignment with this energetic purpose and your inner truth, you also have the energy to sustain and making it happen, okay? Your messaging works when you respond to what's already out there. You're not trying to initiate and force, and you share what lights you up. You're not trying to bend yourself to make others happy or take someone else's structure that's not designed for you. That's where we get a lot of this, like, this just doesn't quite feel right when you try something that's working for someone else, okay? And then you're going to build consistent, sustainable content that energizes you, okay? Forcing yourself to be someone you're not. because people don't come to you for what you're selling. This goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning. They don't come to you for what you're selling. They buy the joy and the vitality behind it. That's what they're buying. That's where we get that emotional connection, that resonance. Wow, I'll have what she's having, right? Like what happens. And actually, as an example, I'm just going to show you some of my client examples, but I joined Marie Forleo's mastermind, for those of you who know her, in 2010, 2011, when I first jumped out of corporate. She used to do these videos. I'm sure she probably still does these videos, but she doesn't really do it the same way. This was part of it was really, really cool. Actually, I've since found out she's either a manifestor or a projector, not a generator, as I thought she was a manifesting generator, because she definitely does operate like a manifesting generator in many ways. But with the multi-passionate things that she did, she's always coined that phrase, I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Like she taught dance, she did all these things, which now looking at it's pure manifester. But part of her joy, like that joy behind a business, and she'd do these music videos and then she'd do all these things as part of her launches. And it was really cool the way she did it, because she pulled in her other passions. Like she's having fun and that's her business. It was amazing to me that it could be your work. And she was definitely the inspiration for me in regard to that. So, um, sharing their joy of vitality. You don't have to be a generator or a manifesting generator to do that, but definitely for the generators and mani-gens, that is the case. And, brought to mind one of past clients, Chantel, who came to me. She was only making a few $1,000s a month, and she was teaching kids in holidays how to holiday camps. And in Australia, we don't have big summer camps, but people always, mothers and parents and whatever, are always looking for their children in the school holidays. And she was running some of those camps, made some great money, because she was also was a music conductor. And in fact, she was doing a lot of group conducting in the Sydney Opera House, things like that at the time. And one of the things that I remember so much about her is just her aura, like around her, because she's so enthusiastic about music and learning music, and also then the studio owners being able to share that with more kids and being able to run that in a way that helped their clients and themselves succeed. And Chantel was able to build a multi-million-dollar company with the revenue through just that, sharing that enthusiasm of what lit her up, right? Like it was such a big driver for how she shaped her business, right? It was quite amazing. Yeah, this is just one of the big examples of me, of someone who shared their joy, and as was Jody, who are my past clients. Jody, who now is an e-commerce coach, because when I met her, she was living in Dubai as an expat, being an EA to a big corporation, and making these caftan wrap based on what she'd seen in the Middle East, and women wearing these abaya elements. So she created an online fashion store. And I remember when she came to me, I was like, I haven't got any experience in helping people grow their online fashion stores. But we worked it out, and she was able to leave her job and then end up selling that brand for, and creating, now teaching other online store brands how to do the same. So very much, she's passionate about her, code, this brand that she was creating, and about fashion and sharing that creativity and making that work on her own terms. Really, really cool. So then we get to that manifesting generator. The charismatic creator is the essence of that impact, right? You're here to respond to what excites you, but the difference between you and the generator is you do it a little faster, you have a few more light bulbs in the air, or you're seeing things, you're designed to see different paths, and okay, you're hybrid between the generator and the manifester. You have that sustainable life force energy and the same aura, and the ability to initiate once you've responded. You're designed to pivot, evolve, and follow multiple threads of interest. And you do that probably more than a generator does naturally, as part of your impact. Because your multidimensional nature is your strength. It's not a flaw. But you need to follow your strategy and your authority in order to, soul style so I'm showing a picture of John. He was a generator, not a manifesting generator, but I thought he's probably like a bit of a good example there of or just that ability to, into his music, but it was the charisma that he had a different element to Paul. right? Like there was a different way about him, and that's his overall human design. But I want to show like in that charisma, and it wasn't to stop any of the Beatles fans loving each and every one of the Beatles, right? It doesn't mean that you can't have charisma if you're not a manifesting generator, right? That's not the case at all. But there is a why and their energy, that their energetic purpose that pulls people to them, and in that way, okay? So messaging power as a manifesting generator comes from showing your full range and bringing people along on that fast moving journey, okay? But you need to inform before you pivot. So you've got to wait to respond. We're going to talk about your strategy to reduce, but manifesting generator needs to take on a bit of the manifestor strategy to inform before you pivot, to reduce resistance and confusion. Right. So one of the things that can happen for sure with manifesting generators is it's very difficult to pick a lane to stay in. You don't necessarily have to, but it will help you. But you can have dimensions within that lane. Okay, and it will help. One of the traps that I see manifesting generators fall into with their messaging is that want to have lots of different, and elements, right? So coaching them, manifesting generators, it can be more of a challenge to keep them on track. And a manifestor can be a little bit like that as well. I know for sure a lot of people are always confused about what I'm doing next, right? Because I'm like, oh, I think I'll do this now, and then I'm changing this, right? So there is an element that we want to make sure that we're not getting missed by our soul line because of that nature. So the manifesting generator, your energetic purpose is to accelerate and multi-express things through, right? Your natural transmission is fast, dynamic, multi-passionate, as we said, and you have the energy to sustain that when you are first responding. So the other tendency can be to want to operate like a manifestor, or other people expect you to operate like a manifestor, and that can drain you too, right? Because you're not initiating from response first. So, what you activate in your soul line is a sense of speed and efficiency, multi-dimensional solutions, and the feeling that they can do, be, and have more by being within your energy and having being impact. Your messaging works when you embrace your range. Okay, so you don't have to niche down artificially or against, you move fast and pivot when needed, and you show the connections between your multiple interests. So rather than just holding on to things, you've got to be able to have like thread, like weave the thread through all the multiple interests. Okay. And you inspire others, showing just how much fun it is to follow your passions, right? Like that's your beautiful, beautiful trait you can share in that energetic impact. Like my client, Carly Axford, you already see she's like founder of Spinal Flow Technique and the Healers Academy. She's got to have lots of different dimension, and she recognizes that now. And sometimes we'll just be like, can you just tell me whether I should do this now? And I'm like, well, you can follow your gut response. You can, strategy and authority, but perspective from a marketing viewpoint and a messaging viewpoint, but it has to align with her true nature as well, and her fears for it to work. But what I can see there is, former chiropractor, she created a technique. So she had that, that multi-passionate ability to hold a lot of things and have a real thirst for knowledge. She created her own modality that took what she had learned from elsewhere and her clinical experience and bring it together to her modality and share that. And more about profiles and how that shapes that. But there are definitely elements within her profile that to bear too, to create a multi-7-figure revenue business worldwide that has and still continues to be incredibly successful. So that is such a manifesting generator client. Then we've got Ringo Starr in the background because he was a projector, okay? And you are the conductor, the orchestrator, the guide. The essence of your impact is that you're here to guide, direct, and offer your penetrating insight, what you see, to those who recognize your value and that they recognize what you can do. You're not here to hustle for visibility or convince people of your worth. Your power comes from being seen, recognized, and invited. Okay. Your marketing strategy is about positioning yourself to be recognized, showcasing your mastery so the right people see you and invite you even deeper. You're great one on one, right? Like you can be great one on one to be able to see and for people to be able to recognize you. That doesn't mean you can't leverage the power of online or even being in groups. It's just you need some other considerations for your soul style. Okay. You're the sought after expert, not the one chasing clients. Your wisdom lands with power when people are genuinely ready to receive it. And that will be amplified by the more that you can understand your soul line, okay? And but you still have to be around that. You still have to share your expertise, but there's different ways of doing it that can help you there. So your energetic purpose is to guide and direct. Your natural transmission is insightful, it's masterful and penetrating. And that's why also sometimes people aren't comfortable. It's a bit like the manifester. They're not, kind of all that, whereas a projector is here to see and see inside people. And some people aren't ready for that transformation and that transmission. So what you activate in your soul line is a sense of being deeply seen, a relief that someone finally gets it, confidence you can guide them where they can't go alone. And your messaging works when you position yourself to be recognized, not do all the chasing. Where you can show up and that has the chance to be recognized, whether that be in partnerships or just you can still be sharing on social media or in platforms or via your email list or with a podcast. Podcast is always a great way because people can choose to listen, right? You're not just broadcasting, and not that you have to wait for permission, but it is about being, that's not permission. It's just about, invitations that come up in different ways. And recognition is a big part of it. So you want to create those invitation pathways for people to work with you to help you fulfill your energetic purpose, because you guide and inspire by seeing things a way that others can't. It is unique to you, even as a projector. It will be a different way of seeing than what other people see as a projector as well. Incredibly, incredibly important. Guiding the other types to live out their purpose. Okay. Energy you can see and then feel just like catalyzed by that insight and that your ability to really see what they need. It's amazing. Okay. So it's like one of my other clients, a multi-7-figure entrepreneur who had a business with her husband, and she still does, called Semi-Retired MD. But a partnership was great for a projector, particularly in a 7 business, right? Because she's designed to orchestrate and guide and, have team to support because she doesn't have ongoing energy, right? So, but she was able to see things that others couldn't in terms of investing for physicians. So they were both doctors, and they real estate investment to doctors as a way to so beholden and burnt out from a medical career. So amazing as a projector, that was perfect for her as a projector to be able to see the even within time she was still working in medicine. Her husband started investing, but her projector energetic impact, right, and that energetic purpose, she was able to see into what was possible here and really guide a lot of her clients to amazing success, as well as her husband and their own business and their team. So that was pretty cool. As an example of a projector. Then we go to the fifth very rare type, the reflector. So I like to say it's more like they're the audience, right? The essence of your impact is to be the audience. I've even got like old audience pictures here. It's keeping the Beatles theme for your soul style impact, right? You're here to sample, reflect, and offer your rare perspective on the collective. You're the rarest type. You're less than 1% of the population. And your marketing and messaging needs to honor that rarity, okay? You're not here to show up daily or make quick decisions. Your power comes from taking your time, sampling energy, and sharing observations that others miss. Because your wisdom is governed by, another authority, which we'll talk about later, but it's lunar. It needs time to develop, like lunar in the moon. It's governed by the moon. We need time to allow, through, because it's hard to know what's yours without any centers being defined within your human design, okay? And it's about positioning yourself as a thoughtful observer who speaks when there's something truly worth saying. Your energetic purpose is to reflect and amplify collective wisdom. Okay. Your transmission is discerning, and it's, a big moon. We know the moon, like when the full moon, things are crazy, right? It's rare wisdom. And what you activate in your soul line is a sense of being truly understood when you're in your environment and there and theirs. Because your environment, where you place yourself, has a big impact on being a reflector. And you'll have an awareness of what's working and not working in your world, and the feeling that you see what no one else sees. It can be a real weight impact, and it takes a lot of feeling into being a reflector energy type. To reflect, I've only got 3, even with my human design app. I may have worked with one over the years before I knew about human design and not known. I've come across one in some of my marketing work who was a copywriter, like an email copywriter. And I know when I started sharing human design, she said, I'm a reflector. And I was like, wow, that's, yeah, so is I haven't seen a lot of them at all within the work that I've done. But I have, I know a couple of business owners through just my personal life that are reflectors. I'm always like so excited when I find a reflector. I'm like, yay. And even looking into their energetic purpose in business, partnerships are quite crucial for them, but knowing what's theirs and what's not in that partnership too can be a little bit of a times, okay? And messaging works when you honor that lunar cycle, not forcing, showing up, and you'll burn out for sure if you don't have systems or partners or other support structures in place, and you're not choosing the right environment for you, and you're not taking time to be completely alone to know what is for you. You share what you're sensing in the collective, which can be enormously valuable. And you reflect back what you see without pressure. This isn't a design that needs to quickly, and it can often be very misunderstood. And I see this in the people owners that I know that I'm friends with. I think they're very conditioned, very misunderstood, and they sought a lot of comfort in what I've shared with them about their energetic purpose. Because as a reflector, you're the mirror who can show us all who we truly are, which is an amazing purpose. It's a reflector in their life somewhere, and definitely we'll need all the types, right? But definitely mass projectors and reflectors can be highly valuable if you don't have them in some way, shape, or form in your business. And okay, so let's go to the second sphere, which is insight. So we talked about impact, your type in human design, that energetic purpose. That was the first sphere. Then we're going down, and we're talking about like that down that accelerates your purpose, like your purpose. But to stay on track with that purpose, we want to look at the insight that your strategy in human design that is aligned with your energy type or your type. Everyone's an energy type, but it's your type in human design. Okay, so your insight is your strategy for creating opportunities and aligned growth, opportunities within your messaging and growth within your messaging too. And it allows you to stay up with that energetic purpose. Everything revolves around that energetic purpose, because when we are aligned, tuned with that energetic purpose, then we're going to be recognized by our soul line. We're going to be resonating with our soul line, and we're going to get rewarded with more revenue. And more than that, you're not going to burn out. This is like the litmus test for staying on track, not burning out, staying in your lane, basically, so that you are doing what is correct for your energy and your impact, okay? So your strategy is your messaging success roadmap. Forced marketing, pushing through resistance, or doing business the way you should creates enormous struggle, frustration, overwhelm, and burnout, okay? But your strategy offers insight. That's where this insight comes. Gives you the insight by following your strategy. Insight into your most effective way to communicate and connect. Some of this may be a little bit of trial and error, and that will depend on your human design too, that you'll evaluate that maybe you've done in the past, or things that you continue to do. Did I follow my strategy there? Like, and were the effects? it gives insight into your ideal opportunity and how to cultivate more of them. Because every time you ignore your strategy, you're blocking that soul line resonance. Okay, so again, you can go into your soul style guide and you'll look to strategy to find out which one is for you. And you'll see that they relate the energy types. So for a quick reference there, you've got the, or your energetic purpose down here. Strategy is your beautiful down here in the second column, depending on what type you are. And you'll also have these signature and not self themes when you're aligned down here according to your type and when you're not aligned. Okay, that can sort of have an impact on your superpower of messaging, but definitely we're more talking here about impact and insight and how to use those emotions to uncover that you're on track. So if we look at being the manifester and being able to initiate before your strategy, to initiate before you act, okay, which can be counterintuitive to the manifester, but here's what that looks like. It's the upside is you have big visions and you can jump in first as long as you're informing. So it's almost like, I've heard it expressed a few different ways. Someone said it's like Asia or India, if you've ever been there and you've driven around, particularly India, the horn is used a lot. And you get there, they're tooting and you're like, what's wrong? Done wrong? No one's done anything wrong. It's like coming through or clipping the ticket on the way past, like, but I'm just coming through, just letting you know. It doesn't asking for permission, it's just letting people know. And that does tend to offset any and confusion and all of that kind of stuff. So that's what happens when you're not letting I'm coming on through, this is what's happening. And I even do that a lot more in my personal life now, trying to do more of that rather than just go off letting people know, hey, getting on the front foot, even though that felt really uncomfortable when I first started doing it. And it still does, even from a marketing perspective. I'm not great at that. Kind of in a vacuum and think, oh, I didn't post it all on social media. Social media can feel like very confronting in that way, but that's got to be, whether it's social media or speaking in real life or on stages or whatever it is, they are going to be absolutely essential for calling my soul line, because I need to be informing, right? And informing people, right? I'm not just designed to show up for a small number of people. So down to be waiting for people and opportunities to come to you when you're designed to not wait for that, okay? Or down your urges, taking a lot of that blowback or the reactivity personally, because our aura is designed to kind of get that blowback because we're igniting and initiating, right? And when we take that personally over time, it can really feel like we want to hold back. Or we feel like we have to show up like an energy type and be showing up and we're not honoring that it takes time for that creative urge to come down through us, right? We get those sometimes quite often, and the energy of transmitting that creative urge, or just even just downloading it and making sense of it to deliver to others, can be really exhausting for us without that generative right? And even the human design system was downloaded by a manifestor, and I believe that happened over like 3 when it was not a pleasant experience to download all those different systems of astrology, Kabbalah, and system, and all the intricacy of just one of those systems, right? And I'm feeling that even in transmitting this to you, I'm feeling like, wow, there's so much layers, and why been a lot of simplifications, or even Richard Rudd, who has the gene keys, sharing their simplification of the human design system, even though he but he that there is complexity here. So how can we pull out the bits that we're going to be able to cover all of it? And even in just trying to cover the basics, it can still feel overwhelming. So allow yourself chance to come back to this, to sink in. I know many of the concepts I've needed a lot of time to go over again and again, but I want to hopefully speed up that process for you. But uncovering your strategy and knowing like some of these elements, great ways to stay on track. So staying on track for a manifester It's about being at ease with expressing your truth and support. I've got an extra P in there, in taking the lead, right? You need support sometimes. Like, how can you have structures there so that you can show up and take the lead more without burning out? You need independence from the demands and pressure of others and the freedom to act on new ideas, and the opportunity to stay in flow with your natural rhythm and time to recharge alone, right? Like, we're very independent creatures. It can make parenting somewhat of a challenge, and relationships too, right? Then go to the generator. The strategy for the generator, the insight, is to respond from your gut. Okay, so a generator, this also move to the authorities. You may have your authority, which will impact this, but you'll still have this, responding. Okay, it might not. That response will come from that sacral center or the gut. So what they call the gut center or sacral center, they're interchangeable. Okay, but won't have the last word if you have emotional authority. Just to let you know that, as a generator or a manifesting generator. Okay. Yeah, so the wait to respond. We're not initiating all the time as generators, okay? The upsides are trusting your natural response to guide you and attracting people and opportunities when you're lit up and fulfilled. The downsides are fearing that nothing's going to happen if you don't chase or make it happen, or you're second guessing your instinct or feeling pressure to act now. So staying on track for a generator, trusting in your natural response to guide you, and using your insight to evaluate what is frustrating you. And the second part, the more you follow your strategy of waiting to respond or responding from your gut, the more you stay energized and fulfilled and attract more opportunities, because people are attracted to you being fulfilled. So it's no good in saying yes to lots of things and then burning out, because you're going to keep going. That's the hallmark of a generator. You keep going even when once you're like, okay, I'm going to keep going, but you've responded, but you haven't paid attention to your gut response of, a decision from other outside influence or from your mind or outside pressure, rather than listening to the power of your gut, which is a very kind of acoustics of making, which we'll talk about. But the strategy is wait to respond. Okay, so about the authorities more in influence the third sphere. But the more you follow your, as I said, the more you stay energized. I already touched on that. And the third part is recognize when you have natural enthusiasm, and equally where you don't. So that's what I'm saying. Some of this can be a bit of trial and error, and you can be, I'm to something, but I follow my. Did I wait to respond? Okay, or did I just, in or respond? It wasn't, use my authority on top of that. Okay, so where all of these sit together, the three spheres sit together, because type and your authority can work together to make sure we're carrying out that energetic purpose that comes within our souls. Okay. So when we look at the manifesting generator, the main thing is, because they're a bit of a hybrid, you might still find power in informing once you have responded. Okay. Opportunities around you and your decisions can have the opportunity to be black and white, which is really great. Okay. Following the response, you have an opportunity, if it's particularly just sacral authority, that your decisions can be black and white. The gut is very much a yes and no. It's not processing all these concepts and what's happened in the past, and it's not the fears of the splenic authority or splenic authority as well, right? So the more you lose what doesn't light you up, the more you'll find space for what does. Okay, so did that really didn't light me up? I've got to get rid of that element. Maybe it's an offer, maybe it's a type of clients that you've got coming towards you. I do find it's harder for switch gears, or manifesting generators to switch gears in the office that they have been offering, because they're, to let go sometimes, even if it isn't the right offer for their to live out their energetic purpose or their messaging or what have you. The downsides can be when you push or force to make things happen, or you don't inform after you respond from your gut. You can start to shut yourself off from new opportunities, and you really exhaust yourself because you're just hanging on to all the old things that don't feel great, or you never should have responded to, or you should have responded to, but not responded the way you said yes, right? Should have been a no. So staying on track, always trust the feeling of your wanting is a good thing. It's pointing you in the right direction. But that necessarily, like, you got to follow your strategy, wait to respond, then you go to your authority to what your response will be as well. Okay. Trusting is meant for you will show up and that you'll be drawn to it naturally. Like starting to notice when you are just pulled to things and maybe it's inexplicable. It doesn't follow logic, right? Like you're feeling like, okay, I cross stitching every weekend, right? Pay attention to that. There's those elements that you will be drawn to. And then you can start looking at when you're feeling like that in business, because business can feel, you can feel a lot less sure of yourself in terms of what you're responding to in business than you can in your personal life. So look to that for clues. And asking yourself yes, no questions, because there is that black and white nature to your particularly if you have a sacral response, and that is at the heart of a generator and still driving them, even if the emotion sits on top. But getting to ask you yes, no questions, or getting in the habit of asking yourself yes, no questions will help you get in touch with your response and guide you. So for a projector waiting for the invitation, which can be a little tough, particularly in your messaging and marketing, it doesn't mean you can't share. You want to need to show up and be seen, but it's how you're choosing to move ahead or really share your message in ways that honor this, okay? Because you have unique gifts and talents that are here to be recognized and seen. So invitations will lead you to your next big opportunities. The downside is, in order for people to invite you, you have to turn your light on and be seen, right? And it's hard for others to recognize you if you're sort of stuck in not seeing the value in your own strengths. Maybe you haven't been following the strategy, and you've you've been following the strategy of like taking tussle and feel things like a generator, right? And that's led to feeling bitter because you're not being recognized. Like you're just creating all these marketing and messaging, and it's just not being heard, and that can lead to a lot of your not self theme of bitterness. So staying on track is being open to new opportunities to share your unique talents so you can be appreciated in ways that bring success. And trusting that your true value comes from the depth of your insights and talents and what you see in others, not how much you do. So don't try and convince others of your value or accept every invitation. Okay, you are going to get off track. Okay. We talk to a reflector, talk to the strategy for a reflector, wait a full lunar cycle so you can know what is true for you and ensure you are making a great decision. So none of this is going to come quickly, which can be frustrating, but necessary. Okay, because the upsides are you're going to find the best opportunities by being in the spaces that feel right for you, tapping into your amazing sensitivity to attract opportunities. Okay. Downsides, drained by others or taking on their energy, being forced to make decisions quicker than you want to, and having your gifts and talents overlooked. A lot of reflectors do that. It's such conditioning there. So staying on track as a reflector, when you're certain of something because it keeps presenting itself to you, you'll create more aligned opportunities. Staying on track by knowing everything comes together for you when you wait, to literally feel pushed to do it, not in a FOMO way, but you'll feel that being pushed almost by knowing what's true, knowing what by waiting that time and the energy that comes through you. And practice, make sure you don't act on the first nudge, right? Don't feel pressure to go quickly, as you have no way of telling if it's right for you. So each type also has a signature emotion, and this also confirms you're on track and can be a bit of a litmus test of knowing that, you know, how showing up in your business, how you're sharing your message is right for you. And when you feel this emotion and regularly, you're going to be you'll know you are attuned to your soul style and you're transmitting your truth to resonate with your soul line, which is pretty cool. So how to know you're on track? Each type has a signature emotion that signals alignment. You'll see them there where you've got peace for manifester, satisfaction for a generator, satisfaction and peace, but mainly satisfaction for the manifesting generator, success for a projector, surprise for a reflector. Okay, so feel this emotion regularly, you know you're with your soul line and living your energetic purpose. So this is another layer to understand that you are in attuning your soul style, because you're feeling this more than you're feeling this not self theme of anger, frustration. You know, all of these, there's different types as well. It's not like, feel frustrated at times. I definitely do, or bitter or whatever, but the one that is showing you that what you're doing is not in alignment with your energetic purpose, are these themes, okay? So it doesn't mean you're not going to feel sadness or you're not going to feel exhaustion, all of those. These are just more signs that, hey, you're not in line with your energetic purpose and you're not showing up and sharing and expressing your energetic purpose if you're feeling you're not self-themed more than the other, okay? So the emotions are insights. Once again, this is why the second sphere is insight, that invite you to realign with your energetic purpose, okay? Now, go to the third, which really is kind of the additional layer to making decisions. Authority is really is such a huge part of human design, and we're not going into in the depths of the depths here. This is more just to keep these spheres together, but to show you what, to point you in the right direction for using yours. But it will require probably deeper excavation for you, but knowing like how it can point you in the right way and start allowing you to understand how perhaps it may have impacted decisions that haven't served you in the past or may have been keeping you from sharing your message, okay? Because the third sphere of your influence or your authority in human design is your decision compass. It's that to your human design. Doesn't mean other people don't have it, but you want to know the one that is within your design, not take on other people's or not take on your mind for making decisions. Nobody has that as their authority. Okay, that is not the boss of us, as kids love to say. This is driven by your authority in human design. As I said, your decision framework that will always serve you in sharing and expressing that energetic purpose, staying on track with those three spheres. Okay, so from strategy to your influence, that serving how to start to differentiate you in your positioning, and then moving back up again to type, we see how that also fulfills your brand promise. Okay, so it's going to help you resist external influences that piss off and block our expression of our energetic purpose. They're going to guide you to the right answers and opportunities and amplify your purpose for sustainable scale. Okay, so third sphere activates your personal brand promise so that it can boost that resonance with your soul line. You can find it here on authority in your soul style guide. So if you have sacral authority, you're looking for that strong gut feeling. I talked about it before as an acoustic in the way it is felt. It's a visceral feeling in your body to make a decision. So when you're thinking about making a decision, if you just have sacral authority, you want to trust the feeling, like I said before, black and white, and work to ensure that your mind's not getting in the way. Sense if your body pulling you toward or away, that's going to be a sense of what is right for you. If you're pulling you away, then it should be a no. And the no is the it can make a sound. You'll see kids are like, the kids say it when you go, do you want to have this snack? When they're like, around this gets sort of bits, but it's like, that kind of primal. And notice if your decision's taking too long, because the sacral response can be made quickly. As soon as you practice it too, you might be off with all our conditioning of our mind. Emotional authority is about us have an emotional authority. Now, that is not designed to make quick decisions, because you are experiencing waves of emotions moving through your energy. At times, you don't want that to be throwing off your response, okay, because they can be strong. Whether the FOMO or melancholy, pressure, or feel can come in other centers too, but it's like you can definitely have external forces and conditioning taking it out of honoring that emotional response, right? Because there's judgment and what society thinks you should do and all of those elements. Creativity can be amazing for moving through emotions so that you can get to the heart of knowing when to make a decision, and knowing that what feels true over time, and resist the pressure to decide in the moment, okay? Sense if there's a growing sense of peace or alignment with the decision. You may never feel 100% certain with emotional authority. So don't look to go, oh yeah, absolutely. And sometimes if you're not used to making decisions like that, that can be a sure sign that maybe you in a clarity for making a decision when you have emotional authority. Okay, so you want to be making decisions from a place of inner calm, and resisting FOMO, rejection, external influences, low or high mood for making decisions. Okay, your is going to take you to the right decisions to be made in your marketing and messaging. Okay, so sometimes emotional authority, it can be feeling like really kind of uncertainty of trying something new, but you keep kind of going back for it, not from a sense of obligation, but a sense of, I know I can't, I'm just a little fearful of it, right? It might not still be that it is right for you, but you just need time to decide. So embrace the freedom to feel your feelings, or process your feelings through other elements, whether it be journaling or creativity or music or art or whatever it might be, okay, or sharing with others, your ability to change your mind. If you have splenic authority, this is about quick and spontaneous decisions driven by instinct. The spleen is a center in human design, is really your fight or flight center. It's where a lot of our fears live, and knows how to go. It's got an instinct, right? And you'll find that when you have this authority, you give people a lot of fears if they don't have this center as defined, and they're activated in there, but they don't have that consistent access to wash through their fears. You can be that for them. So don't try and understand it. Just practice trusting and following its cues, because the more you drop into it, the more you're going to enhance that skill to shape where you need to most express your energetic purpose. So surrender to the way it goes against everything you've been taught about how to make the right decisions, right? Oh no, that's fast. You made that decision too quickly. You're designed to. Okay, so you're following this authority. Leverage its ability to have the taste for new things. It can be a real taste maker and spot new opportunities. And it really has a sense of, that's sad, that smells great. Like, you can even be using it when you walk into a restaurant and not thinking of what you're going to smell kitchen wise, but just, I might walk in and go, I don't like this place. I don't want to, need to honor that, come to you. That instinct is right. Hopefully nothing bad will happen in a restaurant, but it's good to practice that, and then you're going to be able to practice that more in your business and with your messaging. So your heart, will, or ego authority is a little rare as well. This is my authority, and it's driven by your willpower and your sense of what you truly have the energy for. Do you have the will to see this through? That can follow through with something as well. Do you have the heart's desire to do it? You are designed to make decisions based on what you want and what serves your heart's desires. Now, the judgment from others can be that that's selfish, and on the surface that be, but you honor that, you're going to be serving others. Okay, so for many years I've denied a lot of that in thinking, but too selfish, or that isn't the right thing to do, because that you can't just do that, right? But in doing that, I'll be able to ignite others into their purpose. I'll be able to have more energy to create more ignition. Okay, so honor what's in it for you. You show up much more powerfully for others. Now, if you have a self-authority, this is a projector authority. I'm putting both the self and what's sometimes called mental authority. If you're a mental or a self-projector that's what this self-authority is that it comes from decision through. So if you've got a self-authority, it can be in making decisions aligned with your interests, but it helps to just what they often call soundboarding things out. Maybe use your voice notes app in your phone to talk things through. Find somebody to talk it through who's not going to coach you necessarily or do out of what you're wanting to share. They're just designed to really hold that space and listen to you. That's why a voice note can be good, because you want to be able to talk it through or get it out and then make the decision there, discovering what's true for you, because wisdom and clarity don't live in your head or your gut or self-centered. They emerge through your voice, really. So when you speak, you hear your own truth. And then there's outer authority for the reflectors. Unlike other authorities that have an internal compass, your clarity comes from the passage of time, specifically the full lunar cycle, and from sampling the wisdom of your trusted community. You're designed to wait, watch, and gather perspective before making decisions. And your wisdom emerges through time, conversation, and the changing lens of the moon's transit through all 64 gates of your chart. You are not meant to decide quickly. You're meant to decide wisely. So when you trust your authority, okay, which one of those authorities you have. So your authority creates that influence, right? Like that of your influence that is going to naturally perpetuate your influence, because you're going to be able to use these spheres to express your message, express your inner truth, which is serving your energetic purpose. This is what gets you recognized. This is what gets you rewarded. This is what creates a response. It's not necessarily what you say or what platform you show up on. And that's where we can get stuck in our heads, right? Well, should I do a YouTube channel? Well, hang on a minute. Let's look at our soul style. What is going to make what is going to make sense there? Like in that, how can we tune in to our soul style to make great decisions for and allowing us to create value, show up, find our line, find us, and we're going to build upon that with the other elements, okay? But you trust like this sphere, you're going to say yes to the right collaborations and opportunities so you can get your message heard. You're going to say no to what's misaligned, even if it looks good on paper. You're going to trust your intuition about what content to create. Yet when you ignore your authority or override your natural, like the that you have within, you'll force content that falls flat. Okay, you can second guess yourself constantly and face constant resistance that leads to confusion and hiding. Okay, so definitely happened to me. My heart authority and what I wanted to do in that moment, what I had the will for. And then also be true, be careful about the programs that you enter into and the coaches that you have, in make sure that when you have this, you're sovereign, right? You know that's your roadmap and you can decide according to that rather than getting taken off track by a coach in their design. Like particularly me having heart or willpower authority often don't have their heart defined than do in human design. And it's a bit of a sense of value and to consistently things on and that discipline to move, not necessarily discipline, that's probably more mental. But yeah, we can sustain that commitment, right? That willpower to making it happen, right? So I would find that often some clients borrow that from me, but then left to their own devices without this map, it's like it's harder to take action. Okay, so I have to be very careful in pointing out, right? I'm a manifestor too. It's like with this, but this is use your decision making compass to decide on that. Then you're not going to get thrown off. So your soul style is your path to profit from purposeful expression. Okay, this was a longer session because this is really the heart and soul of human design. And when you attune to it, you don't just have clarity in your message, you have the confidence to sharing it because you are tuned in. The more you practice attuning to those three spheres and with your soul style, the more confidence you have because it's going to come like second nature. You're going to be able to contemplate and share, but you can have more robust ways to do it. Like when we come back to what I was talking about before, even with the starts with why, reading the book, hearing the speaker with Simon Sinek, I still think it, to that logical example of branding and how it's better to have that emotional connection. And that's what creates movements and legacy work. But even then, I'd be like, well, I don't know what my why is. I just knew that I wanted to help other women reach their potential and find their potential and start living it more than what I knew was the case, right? But I didn't know what my why was until I could see my soul style and how that came together. So I'm excited for you to have that same opportunity, okay? Because more than clarity and confidence in your message, this is how you create a number one hit. This is that X factor that they talk about on those talent shows, right? This is yours here, ready, waiting for you. So go to the guide, put your birth data in, download yours. You don't want to print it out, it's a big document, but you have your elements customized to you in that document, so you don't have to wade through everybody else's. Hopefully you found it beneficial to know what they are, what other elements go into it, but in your guide you'll see just for you, which is great, and some elements that you start message and making decisions about how you express that purpose. So as always, I'm excited to go on this journey with you. We're going to then go to the next activation element in our next stage of this work, and not wait to dive into that with you. Each will build upon the other, but even if you just left with this is enough to make a huge difference in how you show up and guide yourself in your business. And that's what's according to you. This isn't formulaic to just go, okay, here's your formula, now do X, Y, Z. It will still have the ability to give you those opportunities, but it will be anchored in your own truth. and how you express that. And that is what will define your profitable personal brand. So thanks for being with me. Thanks for allowing me to go deeper again, and just with you, because it's too important not to. All right, take care.